Blessings, my loves. I am Rebecca, and this is my new moon report for Pillars of the Moon. Welcome, welcome. It's lovely to be here again. So, yeah, darkening moon today. And so our new moon is going to be coming up on Wednesday. So that'll be the 23rd of the 11th at 22:57 in the GMT time zone. And at the same time, so the sun is moving into Scorpio that day, and the same time Jupiter retrograde ends. So Jupiter starts stationing direct to go forward. So that's also quite, a big part of this whole cycle. And then moving into our first quarter moon, which will be on the 30th of November. That will be in the stars of Aquarius, Great Mother, Great Chalice. And that's the same day that the sun will move into the stars of Ophiuchus, the Serpent Bearer. And then our full moon will be in Taurus on the 8th of December. And then on the 12th of December, Neptune retrograde ends. Then our last quarter moon will be in Virgo on the 16th of November. The sun will move into Sagittarius on the 18th of December, and then we'll have a new moon just after the solstice on the 23rd of December. So this is a big cycle around transformation. During this cycle, we are meeting with Scorpion and Serpent, and both of the big planets, Jupiter and Neptune, who have been in retrograde, who've come really close together. During this cycle, they're both going to start going forwards again. And obviously Jupiter moves faster than Neptune, so they will start to come apart. So they've been coming really close together. And so this cycle will be, when their work together is complete, and they'll start to move away. So that's also a part of it. I like to see the cycle as a whole package. So, it's like we are learning with, like, at the gates. So at the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, the last quarter, that's the gates. We are learning around the archetypes that are present at that time. And so when I'm looking at a whole cycle, I can really see the flavors, and the themes that are coming up through the whole cycle, and perhaps the prominent characters or prominent archetypes or planets that are really dominant during this cycle. So yeah, and then in working in like a cyclical way, we can see that it's a journey with a beginning and an end. So we are waxing and growing, with when we come into our first quarter moon, and then by the time we get to our full moon, it really is the peak of the cycle. And then of course we let go and we wane away, and we let the cycle come into completion and before the next new moon. So when I'm working with these cycles, I can really align my life to the entire cycle, that I can attune my world to what's going on cyclically, seasonally in the stars. So I'm in full alignment with everything as it actually is. So that to me feels like real power and real sovereignty, actually, to align with the energies of the land and the stars, just like the ancients did. So all of the old temples that were built, Stonehenge, Newgrange, the pyramids, all of these really old temples were aligned to the stars and the sun and the seasons. So our ancient ancestors knew this wisdom. And so for me, it feels really important that we realign with the sky as it really is, and the land as it really is. And in doing that, we are really coming into so much. For me, I felt like this real clarity and synergy. It's like I'm in the flow of the river. I'm not trying to fight against the current, but I'm going with what is here. And so, with the energy coming into Scorpio now, it can feel like that. We are being asked to come into the current, into the flow. You know, Scorpion is a water element, and it's pouring down with rain here at the minute, so it's very dark moony kind of energy as the sun is coming to the end of Libra and moving into Scorpio. So yeah, I'm going to bring up the life sky for you all so you can see for yourselves what's really going on. Obviously in Western astrology they're talking about the new moon in Sagittarius, but you will see in just a moment when I share the screen with you that the sun is definitely not in Sagittarius yet. So here's Stellarium Web. So you can have a look at this yourself. It's free. You can just come on in the internet and it will take you into the live sky. So I've moved this to the date of the 23rd. So that's for the new moon. And the time of the new moon will be 22:57. So let's just change it to that. And we're going to zoom in here so we can see we've got our sun and our moon here. And zoom back out again so you can see the constellations. So this is a constellation Libra. You can see here, so this is the last star of Libra. So you can see at the time of the new moon, the sun has left Libra and it's at the gate of Scorpio. So these are the first stars of Scorpio here. And so the sun and the moon are right at the gate. So they're actually kind of in transition from the weighing of the heart of Libra that we spoke about last time and coming into the time of the Scorpion. So something that is really interesting that I wanted to talk about around this whole cycle is this whole area of the sky, because wow, like there's just so much here, you know, I could ramble on about it all day. I'll try not to. Yes, so as you can see, this is the royal star of the West. This is called Antares. I love this star. It's so powerful, like, oh my goodness. So you can see at the time of the new moon, Venus and Mercury are in alignment and they are lined up to Antares, the royal star of the West. So you know, this energy is very potent. So we may feel now, because this actually, Antares marks the gateway of Ophiuchus. So it's the crossover point between Scorpius and Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. So if you zoom back out, I'm going to zoom back out again. So you can see here, this constellation is the head of the serpent. And this constellation is the tail over here. And so if I bring up the the middle part, it's actually Ophiuchus. You can see him here. So he's pictured as a man, you know, but you know, I really see this energy as it could be a man or a woman. I've been looking into the ancient Celtic serpent goddess Cora, and she is a powerful Irish Celtic goddess from Ireland, and I've been looking into her. She's an incredibly powerful serpent priestess, you know. So this energy here of Ophiuchus, when the sun moves into Ophiuchus, so let's just speed forward here. We're going to go all the way to the 30th of November. And you can see the sun is aligned to Antares, the royal star of the West. This is the time when the sun moves into Ophiuchus. So taking that into consideration, what is this journey that, you know, that is the serpent and Ophiuchus? I want to share my musings with you on this. So we have the journey of Libra. Okay, so we've come to the end of our fruition. All of the apples have ripened and dropped. And Libra is the energy of weighing our heart before we go into the underworld. So when we see the sun here, this is the 30th of November, is at the gate of Antares. This is the gate into the underworld. It's the royal star of death, rebirth, resurrection. So this star, you know, it has got a really a bad reputation, I think, because we're not very attuned to the magic of death and the necessity of death in life. So yeah, so when the sun comes into alignment with Antares, the gateway of the underworld, I can really see, like, this is just how my imagination goes, you know, like this, the sun, like if you can imagine it rolling down the tail of the scorpion here and coming all the way to the bottom and going all the way to the depths of our being, you know, right to the core of our primal feeling, sensual, bodily self, you know, that raw, like once everything else has fallen away, you know. It reminds me of the story of Inanna when she descended into the underworld. And you can even see in the stars here, this is the crown, corona. It means crown. So this constellation is the crown of Inanna. She's left it at the gate. You know, she can't take it into the underworld with her. That's how the story goes. You know, she goes down the 7 gates and taking off an item of clothing on each of the gates. And she leaves her crown is the first thing that she leaves at the first gate. So I believe, if I remember it correctly. So anyway, all the stories are here in the stars, right? And I also wanted to laugh at this because there's a constellation here called the telescope. There's a telescope in the sky. It's like, come on, will you look at the sky? Get your telescope out and look at this part of the sky. What's it showing us? It's showing us the galactic center. It's showing us Antares. It's trying to help us, you know, like really, I feel. Okay, so it's right here, clear to see, isn't it? So so anyway, I've also seen like how I perceive things is quite I don't know, really unique. So I'm embracing that more and more now. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to say what I see. And hopefully it resonates. It might have some truth in it, who knows. So yeah, so the sun, imagining now we're at the gate of Ophiuchus at the end of November. Okay, the sun has come into alignment with Antara, the gateway to the underworld. We've chopped our crown, you know, down here somewhere. We're going in. So we're going down the tail of the scorpion. And this is where we find the venom, you know, Shula. Wow, even that star name, it feels like when I just say that, the vibration of that, oof, it's powerful, right? So we're coming down the gate of the scorpion's tail, and this is where the venom is, you know. So in, you know, many ancient cultures, you know, the gateway of the serpent is the venom. It's like that's how they used, you know, to have these life and death experiences to enlighten themselves, you know, with the serpent venom. So yes, I feel like when we go down into the underworld and we meet with all of these deep, dark parts of ourselves that we need to integrate and that we need to bring home, that we may have been discarded or broken or fractured, you know, like this is where we reclaim these gifts, these parts of ourselves that are actually part of what we came here to do. You know, so throughout our lives, we may have said, you know, I can't be that, or I can't be this, or there's part of us that have been shamed. This time when we come down into the underworld, you know, is when we can reclaim these parts of ourselves and come into wholeness. This is where we learn to ride our dragons. Our dragons represent our biggest fears, you know, the serpent, the scorpion, the things that we are born to do, but we're so frigging afraid of it, you know. And so these parts of ourselves down here in the dark are like, please, please, I want to be part of this show. I want to be part of the performance. How do I, you know, will you please integrate me? So yeah, so we come down the tail of the scorpion and then we meet with Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, the serpent priestess, you know, the serpent goddess. And what we do, you know, when we meet with the serpent is we have an opportunity to awaken our kundalini from the dark, from the void, and bring the serpent up our spine, you know, this kundalini awakening through the gate. If you look at this here, this is a big doorway, gate of Ophiuchus, the gate of the serpent. Awaken the serpent in our being. And with this is why I feel as well that Scorpio has a real connection to sex, tantra, like eroticism, because actually the Scorpion, like, because sex and tantra, lovemaking, is one of the ways to awaken our Kundalini and, you know, explore altered consciousness, states of enlightenment, awakening, going into different realms, to be in heaven. Samadhi is the word in Sanskrit. It's the word of that world, the other world, the upper world. So, you know, I have experienced this many times through, you know, my beautiful partnership, this place, Samadhi, where it's just love, bliss, ecstasy. Oh my goodness, this place exists and we can get there, you know, through using this energy of the Scorpion and the Serpent, and really moving through our deepest fears to open up the gates to take us to these incredible places that it's our birthright to experience this amount of love in our life. And of course, when we die, because Scorpio is connected to death as well, that is where we go. We just go back into that love. You know, if we're ascending up the Kundalini, it's the umbilical cord through the galactic center. So the galactic center is in Sagittarius. So the galactic center is, oh gosh, it's around here somewhere, wherever the arrow is pointing. That's how I remember. It's funny, isn't it? So yeah, you can see that the galactic center is somewhere around here, isn't it? Right at the beginning of Sagittarius. So which is a black hole. It's a black hole in the center of our universe, our yoni-verse. It's a yoni. So basically we go through a giant yoni in the sky and go poof, you know. So where are we going? It's probably like home, wherever that our star home is, you know. And this is a gateway, one of the gateways. There's other black holes in our galaxy, you know. So this is getting really cosmic, isn't it, this video? And I haven't even gone into the chart yet, so I might have to peel myself away from this story, because yeah, like I said, I could talk about it a lot, because I feel like this part, because I think as well, because Western astrology doesn't include Ophiuchus in astrology. It's like Scorpio, Sagittarius. It's like, but hold on, you've missed your awakening. You've missed your Kundalini. Like, come on, like there's the whole part. It's your umbilical cord. It connects you to the cosmos. So if you think about it, it's interesting that this constellation has been taken out. You know, it is our connection to the stars. It was taken out. You know, I won't go into why or by who, because, you know, that's beyond what I can definitely say. But, you know, use our own instinct on it. You know, the serpent has been demonized throughout our history that we know. And, you know, when we start to attune with, you know, Isis of Egypt has seen with the serpent. Shiva has got a serpent, you know, a Hindu god. There's just so many serpent priestesses. Lilith, you know, she's got the serpent. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is we really need to include Ophiuchus back in our astrology, because you can see really clearly these are the stars of Ophiuchus. They cross the ecliptic. You know, we include Aries in our horoscope, in our Western astrology, but it doesn't even touch the ecliptic line, which is the path of the sun. See, this is the sun here. So Ophiuchus crosses the ecliptic. The sun crosses through Ophiuchus every year. And it's actually, you know, when we have our Christmas, New Year, the solstice, the returning of the sun right now is actually at the galactic center. So of course it's a rebirth. The sun is rebirthing itself through the galactic center, the yoni verse, black hole. You know, the sun is birthing again into the light. So this cycle actually in the pillars of the moon, and this is the first cycle of the new year. So this is the death cycle. This is the darkest time of the year for us in the northern hemisphere. You know, and by the time we get to the end of this cycle, you know, we will be coming into our winter solstice, and the sun will be reborn at the galactic center. So this cycle can feel quite dark, actually, and it can feel quite because it's very watery, you know, and Jupiter and Neptune, who are both going to be going forwards, you know, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces and Jupiter the ruler of Sagittarius, but they're both in Pisces right now, you know, so that is very watery, as well as the energy of Scorpio being watery, you know, so there is a real kind of, it can feel very emotional, it can feel very psychic, like, oh my gosh, we could be getting really profound dreams right now. We could be getting lots of insights. We could be feeling so sensitive and overwhelmed by being out in society, you know. So just really listening to that, and actually by stopping, slowing down and resting, maybe that's what we need. That's what we, you know, so we can actually hear the inner world and coming home on the inside, so I can feel all this stuff that is moving in me, so I can listen. Which parts are coming home? Which parts am I reclaiming here in the dark? And that's the work, you know, and then we can spend the winter months gestating those parts of us that are ready to be born again in the spring. And it takes the winter to awaken them, you know, so we don't know what's going to come out in the spring yet, you know, but this is the time when we're starting to explore these lost parts of us, these little seeds, you know, that we took from the apple, and we're planting them down in the earth, and then we're starting to gestate them and grow them and wake them up in the womb of the winter. So yeah, that was a big talk, wasn't it? So maybe I could just going to stop sharing that screen now. I really feel like I would like to jump into the chart, but I'm just going to do the new moon chart for today, and then I'll do the full moon chart in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, just going to share that with you. I think it's going to take me back to Stellarium Web. Hold on. New moon in Scorpio. Okay, here we go. I've already kind of scribbled on it a little bit. So, okay. New moon at the gate of Scorpio down here, conjunct Venus and Mercury, who are at the gate of Ophiuchus, conjoined with Antares, royal star of the West. Feels really important, you know, to tune into what we value, our heart, our creativity, our voice, our expression, you know. And so what I feel a lot of us may be attuning to at this time is, you know, with the energy of Scorpio and going into our fears, maybe it's fears around our voice and our expression, our creativity, and how we can, you know, rekindle that which may have been lost or burned or, you know, whatever. So, and so at the time of the new moon, we have a grand trine. I was talking about Jupiter and Neptune, so you can see them over here in Pisces, watery, watery. And so Jupiter's just started going forwards. Neptune is still in retrograde. So this is the closest that they're going to be, you know, and now Jupiter's starting to move forward again. So, you know, at the time of this new moon, with this grand trine with Jupiter and Neptune, who are side by side, in the cosmic primordial waters of Pisces, they're making a grand trine to Pallas Athena in Gemini. So this is also about our voice, our communication, our brain, our logic. She is Pallas Athena. She's really smart. She's got this incredible intuition, you know, and the energy of Scorpio, very psychic, Ophiuchus, very psychic, you know. So this energy of the new moon in this grand trine, you know, with Jupiter, Neptune, Pallas, Athena, Scorpio, moon, Scorpio, sun, Venus, Ophiuchus, Mercury, Ophiuchus. It's like, it feels like this new cycle is being born to awaken us into our psychic abilities. It could be awakening us to the power of our mind to create our reality. It could be awakening us to our creative gifts, our expression, singing, maybe even writing poetry, anything that's kind of creative. Could be a really powerful time in this darkest time of the year to start exploring our talents and our gifts, maybe bringing in, something from the primordial waters of where Jupiter and Neptune are, really pulling it up, like from the depths, like, wow, what really brings me so much love and passion and excitement. We could even be going back to our childhood and looking at those things that we used to do when we was little, that we used to love, the things that we naturally just did. And it's quite funny. I remember when I was little, I used to walk to school, my primary school, and try to remember the constellations and the order they came in the horoscopes. Isn't that funny? Like, I must have been, I don't know how old I was then, maybe like 7 or 8. But I remember walking to school going, Aries, Taurus. And I was so these when we're young, like, we naturally know like our soul path and what we're here to do. And so when we are in this energy of Scorpio, we're going back to that core part of our soul. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is connected to our soul, what we come here to master, who we came here to be, at the core of our being. So this cycle is calling us back to that pure love, that pure soul essence, who I'm here to be. And so this could be a real chance, this cycle. We have our first quarter moon in Aquarius, so that's the mother energy, the energy of the holy chalice. So it's like we will, as we're filling up for the cycle, we're building the energy. We can tap into the cosmic mother energy of Aquarius and really accentuate our gifts, really explore them. You could be in your nest, in your den, just creating, drawing, visioning, exploring, but in a really intimate way. If you're exploring tantra and these kind of things as well, and really exploring the serpent energy and how we can awaken that magic within us. Ophiuchus is also connected to our magical gifts. So I really want to encourage this cycle to be exploring our magic, the gifts that we came here to share, and maybe they have been buried in the dark. So we may have to go and find them. We could do it through meditation. We could do it through channeling, or some art, or just writing down loads of words on a piece of paper and seeing what comes out, or, like I said, retracing back to our childhood and trying to remember what we used to do, when we was young, the things that we did naturally. They may have been celebrated and then we may have carried it on, or they may have been squashed and we may have lost them. So this is what this cycle feels like it's about for me. And then we come into our full moon in Taurus, which is going to be on the 8th. And it's really the fullness of the cycle. And so the Taurian energy is very sensual. So as I was talking about tantra and sensuality and how we can awaken the serpent energy, we could really be getting in touch with our feelings and like our body and our senses. And this can really help the energy of Ophiuchus to awaken inside of us. And then the last quarter moon is in Virgo. So there's very feminine goddessy kind of energy here, And so, of course, this is the cycle where we meet with Ophiuchus, the serpent, which is, connected to Lilith and Isis and Cora. Oh, I'm just rekindling my love with this Irish serpent goddess, Cora. I'm just remembering something. I just saw an image of her and I'm going to probably add it into the video because, wow. Yes, so what else did I want to talk about? Because I'm going to have to wrap it up soon. Oh, yes. Okay. So we've got a nice blue line up to Black Moon Lilith, who's also in Gemini. So we're talking about Lilith and the serpent energy. This is in trine to the South Node. So Lilith is like really like inviting us to let go of the past, to let go of our fears, to really actually embrace those fears and to allow them to become allies. You know, I found that for me, I used to be really scared of talking in groups. And I used to shake and get really, oh, I can't do this. And then it's turned it out like over the years that that was one of the things that I meant to do. And now I hold circles and groups for women and things like that. So sometimes these things that we're really scared of are part of our destiny and for us to reclaim them. So yeah, time to explore our relationship to fear, I guess. Black Moon Lilith is also in square to Chiron, so that could feel quite disturbing, quite challenging. It's like we're really having to, it could be quite uncomfortable to really feel into our wounds, to feel into our fears, so that we can move forward into a more truer version of ourselves. You know, Pluto is now moving forward into Sagittarius. He's in Sagittarius, so he's moving forward now. He's finished his retrograde. So he is moving through the last degrees of Sagittarius. And next year he's going to be moving into Capricorn. This is a whole new world, you know, in like the structures and the systems. He's going to go in there with some real like, you know, we need to shake things up in the structures and systems that have been supporting us. So as he's, you know, talking about Pluto being the ruler of Scorpio, you know, and he is charging on forward now in the last degrees of Saggy. Saggy is our truth. It's our true calling. It's our vision. You know, it's our connection to the stars, the galactic center, you know, real spiritual enlightenment, wisdom. It's the part of us that can connect back home to our star family. And it's also, you know, the energy of Sagittarius is so expansive, right, and exploratory. So, you know, the energy of Pluto now is calling us to expand into our true self, our true soul purpose, you know, and to move forward with our best work, you know, what we've really come here to do now. Because next year in March, the time of the spring equinox, when all of these gifts are going to be reborn into the light of the sun of the spring, you know, and then Pluto moving into Capricorn, it's like it is a whole new world, and we're going to be coming up from the dark as this new flower, this new seed that's like, right, let's do this. You know, so let's really take this winter time to incubate these dreams, incubate these gifts, to practice, to really grow on the inside, to build the strength from within. You know, and this is the wisdom of the cycle. This is the wisdom of the 13 that I am here to share. You know, that there are 5 inner moons before the rebirth at the spring, and there's 8 outer moons out in the summer world. 8 plus 5 is 13. That's 13 moons of the year. So yeah, this is the energy that I've been working with since my son was born in 2019. And when he was born, I just felt all of this pillars of the moon stuff flooding in. It's like he opened the gate to it, and I was like, wow, okay, no, this is something. You know, so I've been evolving it and exploring it since then. Yeah, so that's the new moon in a nutshell. I haven't gone too deeply into the chart because I spoke so much about everything else, haven't I, really? But yeah, so like I said, Lilith and Chiron could be working our butts a bit this new moon. It's like, okay, so, but this is a new moon, so this is a new cycle. So we have to keep the awareness that what we are doing now is a new start, it's a new beginning. So, you know, let's begin this cycle, you know, with some fresh intentions. How I'm going to be with my wounds and my fears. How am I going to embrace them as something that I'm here to learn and evolve in and grow in and explore, you know, and also tapping into this great potential of our mind and our spirituality, you know, So yeah, that's all for today. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and send you so much love. I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, I'll come back again around the full moon. Okay, my loves. Well, sending you so much love. Thank you for listening. Mwah! Please subscribe and share and all of those things. Lots of love.